to today's webinar on practical AI for the contact centre. I'm Barbara Stewart. I'm from the marketing team here at Enghouse Interactive, and I'm facilitating today's webinar. Interest in AI is a global phenomenon, and it's an increasing focus in the customer experience industry, as we all know. So we wanted to show some examples of how it can be applied in your contact centre. In this webinar, we've invited Enghouse Interactive partners Creative Virtual and Voitec to give you a tour of AI and one of our own solutions. So before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. We welcome any questions you may have. Please use the GoToWebinar chat pane on the right-hand side of your screen to submit questions at any time throughout the webinar, and these will be addressed at the end and followed up by the team if we run out of time. We're also planning to run a couple of polls during the webinar to give people an idea of the current landscape in AI, both in terms of the appetite and also the types of roles most closely involved. Plus, we've included an exit feed-based survey that we'd love your responses on if you'd be so kind. Lastly, the webinar is being recorded, and you'll receive a copy of the slide deck and recording of this webinar via email over the next few days, along with links to various resources. So now, just a bit of background on Enghouse Interactive before I introduce our presenters for today. Enghouse Interactive is the largest division of global organisation Enghouse Systems. The name Enghouse, if you're wondering, derives from engineering house, reflecting our core technology focus. We're a publicly listed company headquartered in Toronto, delivering communications and technology-based solutions from offices all around the world. So you can see we've got our Asia ones there. The Enghouse brand is behind a number of well-known international solutions, including ARC, Zcom, and most recently Video, some of which will be familiar, I'm sure. And our cloud contact center solution is delivered by some of the world's largest providers under their own brand names. So you'll see a snapshot of our cloud solution working with AI a little bit later in this webinar. So now onto our presenters. First up is Brad White from Voitec. Brad has been working in the communications industry for more than 20 years, starting out in technical roles before moving to consulting on more complex customer experience projects. Brad recently spent 11 years at Enghouse working with customers on operator and contact center solutions across both cloud and on-premises deployments before moving to Enghouse partner Voitec to focus on the Enghouse cloud solution with its strong AI component. Brad has found his long history in the industry has given him a strong understanding of both contact center and customer experience requirements, and more recently, how AI technology can be best optimized and can optimize an organization's delivery of exceptional customer services. We're also very pleased to welcome Patrick Gallagher. Patrick is the Chief Executive Officer at Creative Virtual APAC. Patrick, who manages key operational teams in Australia, Singapore, and Hong Kong, is passionate about innovating customer experience and delivering excellent customer experience outcomes. Over the past 20 years, Patrick has assisted clients with customer experience transformation projects across multiple platforms, including both voice and digital initiatives. And he does say that while he's found many commonalities between projects, he finds he's always learning. So now I'd like to hand you over to Brad to start us off. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Barb. Thanks very much for that. Welcome, everyone. We thought we'd just go through a bit of an overview first on these slides, and then we can actually move into giving you some examples of some both very simple, straightforward AI implementations, and then moving up to something more complex so you can see what you can do in a future role. So what we're going to demonstrate, the platform we'll be demonstrating today is Enghouse's cloud platform. So the background on that application and product is that it's been around a long time, 1998 I think it came out, and it's globally used by like BT, Telefonica, Orange, other service providers and carriers that have tens of thousands of seats around the world. They call it a different name in different regions depending on the carrier you're talking to. And what I might do is, and then maybe I'll get Pat to maybe give some background on Creative Virtual. Pat?
Hey, Brad, thank you. And Barbara, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Yeah, Creative Virtual, very proud to be a partner here with Enghouse. We've been doing virtual agent AI technology for over 15 years. We're definitely a global leader in this area. Gartner recognizes us as a cool vendor. Frost & Sullivan gave us the product leader for AI last year, and we just continue to win awards, which is great for our technology, but we also see our customers winning awards. So locally here in Australia, Rest Super, Transport for New South Wales, all winning awards on our technology. So when we come to deliver, and we're working with Enghouse and their contact center, it's really about integrating our technology into their contact center. And so hopefully a little bit later we'll show you some examples of that working. Thanks, Brad.
Yep, thanks, Pat. Okay, so yeah, so the idea today is that we're talking about AI for agents, or artificial assistance is what we're focusing on today. More assisting the agent is what we're trying to focus on. So, you know, a lot of people kind of see bots and robots sort of like this, I suppose. A lot of that's changed, much more simplified nowadays, although I do like young Wally here. He's one of my favourite robots. So what we'd like to do first is sort of get an idea of some of the background of people on this call. I might get Barb to maybe run through that poll just to get some information from everyone on their understanding of how AI works. If Barb, you can go through that for a second.
Thanks, Brad. Can we have the poll and question up, please? Thanks. Okay, so what we thought we'd like to show on screen, because we can show the results real time, is where is your organisation with AI for your contact centre today? So just feel free to click anything right now, and we'll watch the results as they come up. So either you might be using AI already, might be planning it in the short term, say the next 3 to 12 months, or you're just looking at the moment but with a serious plan to implement in the next longer term, and maybe you're just having a look. So we'll just wait while we get some of the replies in on that.
I'll give a minute. Is that all right, Barb? We'll just give it a minute.
Sure.
Just let me know.
Okay, so now we're seeing the results for that. So we've got 15% of our attendees today already using it, 11% planning to implement it in the next quite short term, and 30% really seriously looking at it for the longer term. Interesting. And we've got 44% finding out more about it with no immediate plans and no long-term plan. Thanks for that, Brad. We're back over to you.
That's good. That sounds about what we expect, I suppose, at the moment. So that's good. Okay, so I suppose, you know, AI, bots, virtual assistants, the underlying technology is very similar. You know, some call it a bot, AI, virtual assistant. It's really how you implement it that is important, and what you're using it for. So it's a similar technology underneath, but depending on how you implement it and you use it, it makes a difference, and whether it's good or not. Okay, so there really is sort of three main reasons we need to look at this sort of technology. The first one is interesting. So, you know, we're sort of seeing 75% of customers prefer self-help to resolve issues. Now, it's interesting because I'll talk about this in more detail in a minute, but self-help is really great because you get instant feedback, but sometimes it's not as easy to find the information that you need. So The second part that to realise, I suppose, is that it's 85% of customer interactions will be non-human. So what we're talking about there is not necessarily a replacement of human interactions, but what you'll find is a lot of people are using, AI now. So if you, talk to Siri, you talk to Alexa, even though that's not in the contact center necessarily, you're using, AI to communicate. And there's a lot of interactions going on through that way. So it's not a new thing. Well, it's reasonably new, but it's taken off. So this is sort of to focus on, why do we want to self-service? Why would we do this? And we seem to want this for a couple of pretty straightforward reasons. You get answers instantly, supposedly. You can find that information quickly. And the other thing too to consider is that, I don't have to do this during a work day. If I'm at home, I want to find out some information from somewhere, I could do that online 24 hours a day, any time of the day. But the reality is that it can take us a while to get the information we're after, because it could be spread all over the place, or it's a bit tricky to find. So rather than, searching on a search field in a website, what AI does is it actually bridges the gap between us and the information that we're after. And then what it does is it provides that information on a plate, so you can get at it easily. So just another poll question. If you don't, guys, I'll hand that over to Barbara and she can run through that with you.
Thanks, Brad. What we're interested in here is we think that this poll will reflect the types of participators in any AI implementation across various organisations. So let's see what we have. What role would you have in any potential AI implementation? Would you be in charge of the actual project? Maybe you're influencing the decision making for the project. Would you be on the project team? Do you have ideas on how the AI might work in your organisation, whether or not you're part of the project team? And again, just really interested in AI. Thanks.
So we'll give that a minute to update. Barb, is that okay?
I'll do that. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Okay, so the results have come in. So 14% of the people on this call would be in charge of the implementation project. 14% business influencers, 28% working on the actual project themselves, and 24% contributing on the CX side. So I'm guessing that these are our contact center people. Again, 21% not directly involved, just interested at this point. Thanks very much.
Great. Yep, that's good. Thanks, everyone. It's really helpful. Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. So, is a virtual assistant something that we might need? Because, unless you need it, it's not worth looking at. But these are some of the challenges, I suppose, that people have. And then we can look at some of the possibilities of what a virtual assistant can provide to help assist with those. So it's interesting that a lot of, if you're in a contact center environment, there's a lot of repetition and boredom involved with the actual agents themselves. Sometimes there's a lot of information they just keep churning out, interaction and call after call. Sometimes silly mistakes do slip through, even though you might have templated responses and training. You can get some inconsistent messaging. This is interesting. A lot of people are using social media feeds to communicate with people within an organization. You get a lot of junk. So, you get a lot of stuff that's not really related to your business, or people sort of just throwing junk mail at you, basically. Lots of bursts of activity. So you might have a pretty good idea when your busiest times of the day of the busiest days of the week, what time of the year. Every now and again, you get this burst of activity that you probably haven't predicted. We could probably talk about the coronavirus as a really good example of something that no one saw coming, and it's affected a lot of businesses very quickly. There's some fear about chatbot complexity, like it sounds really complicated and difficult, okay? Some of the staffing after hours, the cost of having people 24/7 can get expensive. So what are some of the things that, that we'd like to have that maybe we can't do? Okay, so this is really important, more time on high value interaction. So what we mean by that is, an agent or a customer service person talking to somebody about something that's a higher value. So whether that be in a sales situation or they're a VIP customer who needs more hands-on time, talking about something more complicated. Opportunities to develop the staff instead of them being, bored with the same things all the time. They can learn more things. Consistent responses. Okay, so there's always a consistent response. More time to service my clients, which relates to, more value interactions. You have more time to service your customers. You have customer insights, which is talking about, what your customers are asking for. You're not guessing, you actually get reports on what they're actually asking for. And like I said, the ability to maybe fill some gaps after hours that you can't always fill with a person, okay? Now, these are the concerns that we hear about AI or bots or virtual assistants. So will my customers hate not being answered by a real person? Yep. Should I pretend it's a real person? Will my staff worry about losing their jobs? It's a really well-known one. How do I know it'll work? Is it really expensive? A lot of people think this is really expensive. So just to answer those briefly, you'll generally no. So if you set this up correctly, your customers won't hate being answered by a real person. So we were talking before about the use of artificial intelligence in mobile phones. It's become or Alexa or Siri, or it's become an everyday thing. Okay, so a lot of people will ask simple Q&A questions from an AI, and they have no problem interacting in that term if you know what it is and what you're using it for. Not for all circumstances, but definitely. No. Should I pretend it's a real person? No. People know if it's artificial intelligence, and we find if we had a bit of fun with that, people really don't mind at all. If you try and hide it, it's a really bad idea. This is interesting. Will my staff worry about losing their jobs? No. It's really interesting that probably the world's largest AI organization, Amazon, has rolled out about 200,000 bots, right? And they have stated that not one of those has replaced a single worker in their organization. Really interesting. Okay, so no, that's not what it's for. It's really important that, it doesn't, artificial intelligence can't work by itself. It needs help to set up and continue to help set up. And Patrick will touch on that shortly, but you really need someone who knows what they're doing to make sure that they can ensure this rolls out well. No, it's not expensive as people make it out to be. The key thing with rolling out artificial intelligence or a virtual agent or a assisted agent is to do it in small steps. You don't try and do it in a big bang, because you'll actually learn what these things can do, and then you can gradually add more capability to it over the time. So it does not cost a lot to start these things off. So what I thought we might do is start by just showing a couple of simple AI implementations running live. I'll just stop my slideshow for a second and show you what this looks like. So just bear with me, everyone. Okay, right. So I'm just going to explain to you what I've got on my screen here. So what I've got here is on this is a customer's computer. So this is me, Brad, being a customer. So on this side here, I've got the Enghouse website running in the background, and over the top of it, I'm Brad on the website asking questions. So this AI entity is called Sally for Enghouse. So she says, "Hi, I'm Sally," and I can sort of start, "How are you?" Just a general chat. "I'm great, thanks for asking." I can do some other silly things like, I don't know, tell me a joke. I'm sure there's one in there somewhere. Oh, okay. This might be like, how do robots eat guacamole? Right, yeah, that's a dad joke, but it's good. So, normal interactions just going to and fro with the AI is pretty straightforward. Now, what we can then do on top of this is running on the Enghouse site. Now, what we can do is we've got a lot of local council customers who are running on on contact centres. So what I thought I might do is show you what happens when we make the artificial intelligence run on a council site. So I might just do how can we help councils? Oh, if I write councils right. How we okay, so what I've done here is that Sally has come back and said, I can definitely help you with council inquiries, ask a question. So I'll just move Sally over here for a second. So this has actually opened up a real council website. I'm sorry, I've picked on the Central Highlands guys. I hope if they are there, they don't mind. So this is the Central real website. This is, a customer looking at the website. So if I then are on here, I might be asking something like, I don't know, how read my rates notice. So you may or may not get a lot of questions like this as an agent. So this is really cool. So what it does then is it goes off and it finds a copy of an example rates notice from the Central Highlands guys and sort of shows, what's on the rate notice. So this is just coming through the website. It's pretty straightforward. Now, what is very likely to happen when you're looking at rates, you probably need to know something like, I don't know, do I get a discount? So this is Brad asking Sally if you get a discount. So Sally's gone off and found that yes, you can get a discount if you pay within 30 days. Now, at this point, Brad's been talking to Sally for a while, but let's say I really want to talk to a real person. So all I have to do then is just say, can I to a person? So, and then Sally comes back and says, yes, I need your name, if that's okay. I can say Brad. So far this has been a very, very simple interaction. This sort of setup is not complicated to do and doesn't take very long, okay? So what I'm gonna do now is actually get this to send it to a contact center agent. So on the left-hand side, this is the CX Cloud contact center application on the left-hand side. So at the moment, and this is Karina, she's not logged in. I'm going to log her in because then she can get this contact coming through. So here is the call coming through from okay. So I've just made this a bit bigger so you can actually see it. So you'll see here that now we've handed the call over, sorry, the chat over to a real agent. The agent has got an auto reply that just says, hi, I'm Karina, how can I help you? So what's really good in here is that Karina can see what that Sally, the AI, and Brad have been talking about, right? So I can sort of say, hi Brad, I can see that you have had some issues working out the rates. So we can sort of chat to and fro. If I need to get on a call, I can talk to Brad and we can go through how to read the rates. So that's a really quick example of how we can use an assistant on the website to assist the agents with information that is pretty readily available, but the customer might need to do a search to look for. Okay, so this way, when the agent gets on the call, I'm just wrapping this up, gets on the interaction, she looks like a genius. Okay, so now apart from just being able to, I might just make myself unavailable and jump in a meeting in case we get other calls. So apart from having this on your website and communicating like this, there are lots of other chat applications around that you can use. So what I might do, I'll just shut that. I will show you an example of using a Microsoft platform called Teams. It's very popular. There's lots of people using it. And this is a way that we can embed our AI, into Teams. So this also obviously then can connect to the contact center. Now in Teams, we've changed Sally to be Cosmo. So here's Cosmo. Cosmo is just a user in Teams, and it's our AI. So, as an example, we can do things. I'll just wake up Cosmo because I think he's been asleep in the background while we've been doing the demo. So just give me a second to wake him up. Obviously in production, we don't leave them asleep, but just for the sake of the demonstration, I'll just leave him asleep. Okay, so Cosmo's come back and said, hi, I'm Cosmo's virtual agent, how can I help? So I can sort of start having a chat to Cosmo, but what I might do is sort of show you some examples of how we can sort of ask for information. So if I was to ask something like, I don't know, can I get a product brochure, right? Asking for a product brochure. So what happens is Cosmo's going off. So this is pretty cool. So I can click on the URL below here and show the brochure itself, okay? But what we've also done is that we can say, look, I can send you a PDF link to your mobile. Is that okay? I was going to say, yes, that sounds like a great idea. I might go to my iPad or an email address. So I said, yes, great. So what's your mobile number? And I'll send you the link. So I could put anyone in. I'll just use mine for 108. Now you can't see it, but that's coming. Oh, just asking if that's the right number. Yes, it's the right number. So I've just got a ping through on my mobile where I can just open that. You can probably just hear that. Where I can open that link and read that document. So here's an example of the AI or the virtual assistant running in another messaging platform, right? So obviously this can then escalate to the agent who's in the contact center quite easily. So this is a fairly simple sort of starting point. What I might do is maybe bring Pat in so he can sort of give us some examples of where we can take this and what's involved in kind of starting it. So Pat, I might just hand that over to you if that's okay.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, that was a very good little demonstration. So yeah, where do people normally start their journeys? Well, I'd sort of say that there were probably 5 key points to look at and when you're starting your journey. And one is keep it simple. So start somewhere simple and let the bot technology, if you've got the right technology, it will guide you as to where you should grow. It'll, through the reporting, through the internal systems, tell you what your customers are asking for and help you design the growth. But certainly keep it simple to start with. FAQs is a good place, frequently asked questions, that is. And also then decide how you want to deploy it. So a lot of our customers that we deal with, and we've got over 100 customers using bots that we've helped deploy, they start often using it for their customers or their member base. And from there, the bot can grow and build out and effectively service their customers and member base 24/7. But there are also other businesses that take our bot and they start it inside their own business and use it to support their staff. And we see that as another very strong business case. So, for example, DBS Bank in Singapore, one of our customers, they use Enghouse CC, formerly Zcom, and they've got Teams in there, as well as the bot sitting on both Teams and also in their intranet. And so it's really there to support staff. Staff might have questions about password resets, accessing certain software components, or just general internal service desk type questions. And the bot's there supporting their staff across the Asia Pac region in, I think, 6 or 7 different languages. So that's a second option for you. The third option you might want to think when you deploy it is deploying it into the contact center and using the AI as a knowledge base for your agents. So your agents can just simply use free or English questions. They don't have to know where to look, where to search, how to drill down to find the right information. They just use simply the question that they hear the customer say, and they can type that in, and our system will then come up with a response for them. So we normally see that customers start in either providing for their businesses, start providing for their customers, their staff, or their contact center agents. But what we often see is that grow then, once they've developed it for their, say, their contact center agents, they might then make it available to their customers and members, and vice versa. REST, in fact, you've got here, I'm going to show you REST in a moment. They started with Roger, just supporting their customers and members, providing FAQs, and then over time they expanded it to support their members and customers in Google, so you can talk to Roger from REST through Google Home. And they're also now expanded it into the contact center so that their agents can use the simplicity of the virtual agent technology. And the reason why that organically grew in there is that we saw the agents were using Roger from the website. So we created a version of Roger that their contact center agents could use and help them not only with answer questions, but process procedures, bookmarking, and all sorts of other things that the agents needed. So that's the sort of thing about deciding where to start. And I've already mentioned the third thing, build the knowledge base at FAQs. Building a simple set of frequently asked questions and loading that up into the virtual agent, that's a sort of where most people start. The fourth key point of the 5 that I was going to talk about that I think are important where to start is make sure that you've got an escalation path for your customer. Now, if you're doing a customer or member-facing bot, having that ability to escalate to a service representative is really important, because the bot can't answer every question. It will learn and get more accurate over time. REST accuracy is about 93% accurate at the moment that we're running it, but it started at about 80% accurate when we launched it about 2 years ago. And it improved accuracy over time. But having the ability to escalate to a live agent is important, like Brad was just showing you a moment ago. And we strongly recommend that you have that capability in your bot. You can give the person that you're supporting through the bot that ability to escalate to live chat to a real person to take over. And in some cases, the job, in fact, for REST, sometimes we want that to happen. If somebody's had a bereavement or perhaps special circumstances where they need to access their superannuation, escalating to a live person is the better thing to do than try and get a bot to deal with a particular situation like that. So again, having that escalation to live chat, and that's why the Enghouse Contact Center CC or Enghouse CCSP, the Cloud Contact Center, really good. It's sort of baked in. We can just go escalate straight to those technologies. The last thing I would say is when you start is choose a partner that's local and experienced. And I say that because when you're building a bot, every project is different, but there's a lot of fundamental things that are the same. And the experience that you can get by working with a local partner can really help. And I can tell you that when we normally sit down and plan what we're going to do with the bot, as we go into the journey of building it and then deploying it, things change. So you need a partner that's going to be agile with you. And I think, that's what we've really created a reputation on, being able to be agile and work locally with our customers. So let me just talk. Brad showed you sort of where you might start and some of the things you might want to do. I'm going to just show you a couple of examples of what we've done with some of our customers. So I'm going to start with Rest Super. For those that don't know Rest Super, I think they're Australia's second largest superannuation company. Rest Super is the super that if you work for Woolies, Coles, Qantas, and a whole lot of other sort of large businesses, you automatically get put into Rest. And so they've got a large customer base. A high proportion of them are younger, sort of between 18 and 28. There's a high proportion there. So therefore, the idea of a bot interacting actually works very well with their demographic. So let me just give you, show you some examples. So what they've done, and we see this across the board, they've removed search altogether from their website. No more search on their website. It's just Roger. And if you have a question, you just ask. As Brad was saying before, trying to identify and get information from search can be hard. You get presented 100 sometimes links, and you've got to find that information. The idea about a virtual agent is you ask a question, you get an answer, and it's really simple. So I could ask a question in here, but I'm just going to start up Roger and bring Roger up. So he's suggesting things down here that I might want to ask, but let's take the example that I'm standing here and I'm filling in a form, one of those really, really complex superannuation forms, and I'm struggling to get all the bits that it's asking me for. Now, I could call the contact center, but I could just as well use Roger. And what we've seen is over the last 2 years, over 1 million conversations with Roger, 1 million, where people have got their answers out rather than having to call the contact center. So if I'm filling out a form and the form says, what's your super USI? I'm going, gosh, I don't know that. So I can just ask Roger. I say, what is your USI, which is a particular type of number I need. And there it is, easy 24/7 access. Not only is Roger giving me my USI number or the Rest USI, but also anticipating that I'm working on some sort of a form. He's also giving me other information here that may be relevant to what I'm doing. So he's also anticipating a little bit there. He's also saying, listen, if you want some more information about the Rest compliance letter, because quite often you'll need that as well, you can click here to get it. So Roger very simply here just ask the question, what's your USI? He understands the intent. As I said, the accuracy of Roger is very, very good. Now, I could ask some more very boring questions about superannuation, but let me just take you, and I want to show you a different type of conversation that we can have with Roger, because when you build a virtual agent, there's lots of different types of conversations that you can have. And there are structured conversations, we call them D-trees, but sometimes there are what we call topic-based conversation. That means we're going to talk about a topic, but we're not going to try and structure the conversation too much. So in this case, have a little bit of fun, and I'll say to Roger, do you have a partner? Just asking if he has a partner, and he says, I'm glad you asked. There is a special someone in my life. Okay, who is it? Who is it? And he says, oh, Rachel's my girl. Oh, why her? Behind every great BA, there's a greater woman. Rachel's mine. Anyway, the reason I'm just having a little bit of what we call small talk here with Roger, and you know, some of the banks that we deal with, HSBC, DBS, they're not interested in small talk. But when we're building a brand like Rest, having this engagement through the small talk can reinforce the brand identity and help reinforce the brand itself. So having the small talk is good. But the thing I want to show you about this is I asked him about his partner. Now, could just as well be, for example, in a council environment, what discounts do you offer discounts? And then the next question might be, where can I access them? Now, in most virtual agents, you have to keep repeating the subject. Like I would have to say, who is your partner? Or why is she your partner? And keep redressing that subject. But in this case, because our bot has this topic-based capability, the conversation just flows a lot easier, just like a much more natural, easier type conversation. I don't have to keep getting the user to say, who is your partner? We just know that we're talking about the partner So this topic-based conversation. And just to show you that this is real, if I go back to Roger and I start up a brand new conversation, and I just go straight into Roger, so this is brand new, he doesn't have any history of what I said before. If I just go straight to saying, who is it, that question that I asked before, but without setting the context this time, he comes back and he says, sorry, I didn't understand your question. And therefore, you know, like a human, if I haven't set a topic, then I say I'm talking about your partner or I'm talking about a discount level. Without that, Roger, like a human, says, I don't understand what you're talking about, and actually tries to find things that might be of interest to us, like contact us. From the little bit of a conversation we've had so far, he's trying to extrapolate and say, well, I think you might mean this or this. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that because building the bot, creating the experience is really important. And we work closely with our customers to build that experience for them, their customers and their members. I'm going to quickly take you to something very different now. One of our customers that we talked about before was Transport for New South Wales. Transport for New South Wales, and I'm just bringing my phone up onto the screen at the moment. So bear with me 1 second. So Transport for New South Wales, we built them a bot, started on their website, still sits on their website, on the .info website, but very quickly we extended their bot to support Alexa, so you can talk to it, and support Google Home, so you can talk to it, and also into Facebook Messenger. And I'm going to show you the Facebook Messenger deployment of Transport for New South Wales. I really like this bot because it sort of hits a lot of the key areas of where you might want to go with your bot. So this is live, you can all check it, New South Wales Public Transport, Rita. So if I just go into Facebook Messenger, you can see that our bot is rendering this carousel. And so the bot that we have is channel aware. It knows which channel it's talking to, whether it's in Google Home, on the website, or if it talks on, if you're talking to it through Facebook Messenger. And effectively what we're doing is through Facebook Messenger, we know that we have a concept of channels, so we can bring up, we have a concept of a carousel and we can bring up these carousels. We see a lot of our customers pushing the bots into WeChat, WhatsApp, Viber, and even Teams like you were just shown by Brad. These channels are becoming really, really strong channels for the bots and for you to get your message and support your customers through these or your internal staff. So let me just show you some examples. So I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to use it just like a normal bot. Let me just ask it a question. So for example, I could say, can I take my pram on the ferry? So just ask it a very quick question. I'm using the speech on my phone. That's everybody's got that on their phone. It just comes part of Facebook Messenger. And you can see I've asked the question and I've got an answer here. So the system comes up with an answer for the user, but it knows that there's also more information about it on their website. So I can tap the safety guidelines and it brings up a little overlay here, and I can get more information on their website about traveling with prams and young children. So let me get a little bit more sophisticated here now. So we started the virtual agent with just doing FAQs, but then we integrated it with the APIs for their trip planner. So I can say, for example, I can say to the bot, I want to travel from Central to Wynyard. So in this case, the system understands the intent. It knows that I want to travel. We know that there's a number of APIs, and the system will now find the next departures for me, and it presents it in a carousel format. So I'm just using my thumb to basically scroll the carousel. There's one that I'm interested in, 9 minutes leaving from platform 17. I can just tap on show the trip, and what we do here is the bot will bring up the trip and show me how much it's going to cost on my Opal card. If there were delays in the escalators or the lifts or anything that I should be aware of, it would tell me. But this one's on time, which is great. Yesterday there was a whole lot of things late, but Rita knew about all of those. I can even show it on a map where where my trip's going to be if I wanted to. But not only can the bot now present to me my trip options by integrating with their trip planner, but I can also subscribe to alerts. And this is where it gets really interesting. So I can tell the bot what my preference is. So I could give this a name, for example, my journey to work. I give it a quick nickname, an alert name. I tell it when I travel to work. I tell it what I'm interested in. And then if I hit save, I won't at this point, but if I hit save and gave it a name, the bot then remembers my preference, and I'll get an alert if there's going to be a delay on my journey in the morning. So not only is the bot responding to me, but the bot now is becoming my assistant and alerting me of things that I want to know about. So the bot becomes, we know my preferences, and it understands what I like to do. And even up here, if I'm just scrolling back up here to the main menu, if I just hit start on the trips there, go back to that main menu there, it remembers that I normally catch the bus that I get to the city from Millard Street. So you can see here, it's showing to me a couple of things that it's remembered about my bus travel. And I can just go, okay, I can just tap on the Millard Street bus. And I use this all the time. As I'm walking up to the bus, it's finding me the next 3 departures from my bus stop. This is all real-time information. And I can see that, oh, well, I'm going to miss the 263 to Crow's Nest, but I will get there maybe in time, 11 minutes, even though it's running 1 minute early for the 267. But we also show how busy the bus is. So those little indicators on the right-hand side, if we're getting tap on, tap off information from the bus, we're also indicating to the traveling public whether you're going to stand up or sit down, how crowded the bus is. So you can start seeing that we're doing lots of things. And I'm not going to spend too much more time because there's so much in this bot that I can do. But one of the things that I really like, I'll just describe it to you, is that if you see some graffiti or rubbish around any of the public transport bus systems or rail, you can tell the boss, tell the bot, and the bot will ask you some questions about that particular what you've seen. It'll have a structured set of questions, and then what we will do is we will upload your answers into Salesforce, and they use Salesforce then to create a task inside the business, and for somebody to come clean it. Not only can we take your description, but we can also let you take a picture of it, and we upload that into Salesforce as well. So if there's some graffiti or something, it'll ask you some questions about it, where it is, and also you can take a picture of it, upload it, and automatically create a task within Salesforce that then Transport for New South Wales use to allocate a person to go fix it. There's a lot more I could tell you about, but I don't want to be boring you too much more. So at this point, I'm going to hand back to Brad.
Thanks, Pat. Very cool. So yeah, I mean, you can see from Pat's overview there how far you can take it. So start very simple, like we were talking about, simple FAQs, and then you can slowly build the capability to go all the way up to what Patrick was showing you. So a lot of fun there. So I just thought I'd touch on sort of, you know, how do you start with this sort of stuff? It's not as hard as people think. It's really just, you know, finding a pain point. There might be a small task that people are doing that really is quite simple that some AI could do for you. Normally, frequently asked questions is a great one, and you build that base of information and use that to build the AI's capability. It's a good idea I'll just point out here, it's a really good idea to appoint an owner to ensure it's kept up to date, the frequently asked questions, so you need to make sure you do that. And you create a process that everyone can participate in. So, you know, this isn't just an IT discussion or a customer service discussion. It may involve lots of different parts of the business, okay? So you'd be surprised how it affects different parts of the organization. So what we want to do here, and we want to make a special offer to people who are on this webinar for a limited time. We're offering a free 3-hour workshop with Pat's team. Okay, so the idea is that you know, the guys can sit down with you and have a look at your needs from the organisation. So you know, would it assist? Can it assist? How do you plan the implementation? How you understand, you know, the ROI if you have to do that. I mean, the value of the session is normally about $1,000, so it's a significant offering I think there's some. I think we can send some information out later for that, Barbara. Is that correct? We send out some links for that.
We'll be sending out an email following the webinar, and I think there's a link here on your slide as well.
Yep. Cool. So, we really need, like I said, we need probably more than just one person involved for the time. You need a couple of people involved, 3 to 5 members of the team, and all you have to do is just register before 20th of March. If you don't, you don't have to go on and use it after that, but we just. So there's the sign. If you want to sign up, that's the site there. And like I said, Barbara will send out additional information. And a link to that if you want to be involved. So that's pretty much it from the overview and the presentation from Patrick and I. We wanted to refer to any questions that we might have got during the session. Barbara?
Yep, I'll take over from here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Brad. That was great. So now, if you have a question, please fire it through. We've just got a few minutes now before the end. I've got a couple here, so I'll start this off. First one that we got is, I think that the contact center solution you've demoed here, Brad, is different from the solution that this person is using. Does it matter what our contact center solution is if we want to implement a chatbot?
Okay. No, in short. We obviously, Enghouse is working with Creative Virtual. We've got some turnkey ones there that are, the Enghouse ones. But there are other ones that if you're not using it, that Creative Virtual can integrate with. Not all of them, but most. Yeah.
Great. Okay, thank you. And next question is, how long does it take to implement a piece of string? No, a virtual assistant solution.
Okay, Barbara, thanks. I might jump in on that one. So we've done lots of implementations. The normal implementation would take 2 to 3 months. So we work with the customer, building out the bot, getting the FAQs loaded, getting the bot learning. We do internal testing and internal training for the bot, and it takes us about 2.5, say 2 to 3 months to get us live. Of course, if you're Chase Bank or HSBC Bank, which we work with, or even DBS Bank, well, it'll take longer because there's a lot of security requirements we have to go through and satisfy. But for a normal deployment like QBE, Transport for New South Wales. In fact, Transport for New South Wales, we did in 4 weeks, the initial launch, and then expanded it from there. But I'd normally say 2 to 3 months.
Okay, great. Thanks, Pat. And the last one we've got received so far, so if anyone has any more, please send them through. But the one I have here is, I think this is for Pat. You mentioned that there are many similarities between AI implementations. Do you have prepackaged solutions available for chatbot, for example?
Oh, okay, yeah, so the answer is yes, and I guess that there's 2 parts to that answer. One is we have done a lot of work with Enghouse to integrate the chat capability to CCSP, the Cloud Contact Center offering, and also to CC, the ZCOM offering, and we can offer packaged deployments around that. But then when it comes to the industry or the nature, yes, we also have packaged intent. So we do a lot in banking. We've also got councils, an intent library for councils. We have an intent library for utilities. So these intent libraries allow us to quickly start. So a combination of the technology, so we've automatically got the escalation to live agents through the Enghouse technologies and a few others, as Brad mentioned, and the intent libraries that we have gives us an ability to really get a quick start on these things and use some of that experience that we've had working in industries like banking, utilities, councils, and bring that to the table so that we can start the systems quickly.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. So one last question I think we've got time for. This one's just come in. Is there anyone I can talk to at New South Wales Transport about their implementation? We maybe want to take that one offline and get in touch with.
Yeah, if you pass me the details, I can put them in touch. We work with the digital team there, just based down near Central Station, yeah, we work closely with them, so I can provide some details around that.
Okay, thanks. We'll get in touch with you, Bruce, on that one. Thank you. And so we've reached the end. Thank you very much, Patrick Gallagher and Brad White, for your time and for sharing your knowledge and examples of AI. And of course, thanks to all of the audience who've made time to attend today's session. We hope you found it valuable. As always, we'd love to hear from you if you have any feedback on the presentation, more questions, ideas for future webinars. And if you'd like to take advantage of our special webinar offer, please respond to the survey on exiting the webinar or to our follow-up email that comes out, or use the URL if you took a note of it on the slide. To be eligible, you do need to express your interest with us before the 20th of March, which is next Friday. So we look forward to going into more depth with anyone interested in any of our solutions, and we'll get in touch after this webinar with a link to the recording and deck. So thank you very much, and have a great rest of the day. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.